Back at Fort Morgan High School, where the Elizabeth Cardinals have come to play the Fort Morgan Mustangs. They're just now introducing the Elizabeth Cardinal. And their starting lineup is Trevor Bass, a 6-foot junior, and Trevin Ross, a 6'5" senior. James Christensen, a 6-foot junior. Cody Steinke, a 6'2" senior, and Jake Gavitt, a 6'4" sophomore. Jake Gavitt averages 18.8 points a game for the Cardinal. For the Mustangs, Leo Lopez, Jake Frick, Tony Swetzik, Eric Kimball, and Wes Anderson will be the starting five tonight for the Mustangs. So the Elizabeth Cardinals come in averaging 66.3 points a game, giving up 64 points a game. Fort Morgan averaging 44.2 points a game, and they're giving up 54 points a game. The opening tip is brought to you by Ingmeyer Phillips Insurance. With 2 locations in Brush and Fort Morgan, Ingmeyer Phillips can help you with your home, car, health, or life insurance questions or need. Tip controlled by the Mustangs. Eric Kimball now off to Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez holding it out at the top, guarded closely by Elizabeth. Now Tony Swetzik to bring the ball in. Back into Leo, back now to Tony Swetzik. Lopez driving to the lane, back out to Lopez. Lopez to Swetzik, Swetzik to Anderson. Anderson's jumper from the side is in and out. Rebound by Frick is good. 2 points for Jake Frick. So Fort Morgan with the early lead, 2-0. It's now Elizabeth. Ball underneath is stolen by Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez hurries down court to the free throw line. And they called a double dribble on Leo Lopez. That'll be a first turnover for the Mustangs. So Elizabeth now across half court. Eric Kimball with some good defense. Now James Christensen with the ball. He passes it back out to Trevin Ross. Ross back to Christensen. Christensen underneath to Cody Steinke. And that is good for a 2-point basket. Now Elizabeth with some pressure defense. Fort Morgan gets it down. Shot up by Anderson is no good. Now Elizabeth with a fast break down court. Pass underneath to Jake Gavitt. His shot is up and no good. And they're going to give him 2. So it'll be a 2-shot foul for Gavitt. His first shot is no good. 2-2 with 6:33 to go in the first period. Second shot is good. So Fort Morgan now with the ball in the front court. Anderson in with a layup, and his shot is up and no good. They're going to call a over the back foul on Fort Morgan. That's going to go against Jake Frick. So that is his first foul. Second team foul on Fort Morgan. So Fort Morgan now steal the inbounds pass. Wes Anderson taking the ball down court. His pass is tipped out of bounds. So possession will stay with the Mustangs. So Tony Swetzik inbounds the ball. His inbound pass is intercepted on the sideline by number 32, Cody Steinke. Steinke now with the ball out front. He's picked up his dribble and guarded closely by Kimball. And he passes off to Trevin Ross, who loses the ball. Now Fort Morgan up court. Wes Anderson down, back out to Kimball at the 3-point line. That shot is no good. Rebounded by Trevin Ross for the Cardinals. And now Jake Gavitt down court is called for the walk, so that's another turnover on Elizabeth. So Joy Schneider into the game for Wes Anderson. Leah Lopez, the Cardinals apply three-quarter court pressure, trying to get the ball, and they do get it over to Eric Kimball. He tries to get a pass underneath, and it is kicked out of bounds by Jake Gavitt. So Fort Morgan ball on the baseline, trying to get the ball in, and due to Joy Schneider. Schneider to Kimball. Kimball back to Swetzik in the corner. Now back to Kimball, to Leah Lopez. About 10 feet out past the three-point circle. Back to Lopez. Fort Morgan not doing a lot of movement here. And they're going to call Tony Swetzik for the travel. So turnover by the Mustangs. Zach Garcia in for Tony Swetzik. 3 turnovers so far for the Mustangs. So Cody Steinke dribbling around. He picks up his dribble. Now over to James Christensen for a 3. So 6-2 Elizabeth. Fort Morgan inbounds the ball. Now their pass is stolen. Underneath now to Cody Steinke. Steinke picks up his dribble. James Christensen to the free throw line. His pass back out now to number 1, Trevor Boss. That shot up and no good. Leo Lopez with the rebound, and he's across half court already. His bounce pass over to Eric Kimball. Kimball's pass is saved by Leo Lopez. Lopez down the lane to the free throw line. His shot is up and good. So that's his first basket of the game. 6-4 Elizabeth with 4:12 to go in the first period. Pass underneath to Trevor Boss, but he is going to be fouled. They're going to call that on Leo Lopez. That's going to be his first. So Elizabeth inbounds the ball to Jake Gavitt. Now back out to Cody Steinke. Over to Trevin Ross. Back to Steinke. Steinke now back to Boss. Now into the corner for a 3 for James Christensen. So that's his second bucket of the game, both threes. So now they're going to call Fort Morgan for a travel. Fort Morgan down 9-4 with 3:48 to go in the first period. Elizabeth brings the ball in. It was Eric Kimball tipped the ball, but he tipped it off of number 32, Cody Steinke, so it belongs to the Mustangs. So Trevin Ross out of the game. Shane Wilson now enters the game for the Cardinal. So ball into Leo Lopez. Still the three-quarter court pressure by Elizabeth. I think Morgan needs to get the ball across court, and they do to Eric Kimball. Eric Kimball at the three-point circle. Now to Lopez. Zach Garcia. His pass underneath is not handled by Jake Frick. So another turnover. So Elizabeth with the ball, up 9-4 with 3:23 to go in the first period. Jake Gavitt. Now it's out to Shane Wilson. Now back to Brandon Severinsen, who has entered the game. Now up for a 3 was Cody Steinke, but his shot missed off the rim. Rebound to the Mustangs. Leo Lopez to Joy Schneider. Schneider back to Lopez. Lopez being double teamed out high. Now to Zach Garcia. Now to Jake Frick in the right corner. Back to Lopez. Garcia to Kimball. Kimball, the ball is knocked away from him. Another turnover for the Mustangs. Elizabeth trying to drive to the basket. Another three-point attempt, and that one is good by James Christensen. So James Christensen has 9 points of the 12 so far for the Cardinal. Fort Morgan has taken a timeout. This Fort Morgan timeout is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Let the State Farm Insurance office of Greg Mullen in Brush help you find the best policy to fit your life, home, auto, life, health. State Farm Insurance is here for you and your family. Give Greg Mullen a call today at 842-4555. So Fort Morgan already has 7 turnovers in the first period compared to 4 for Elizabeth. So they're not a lot of difference, but kind of a sloppy game to start out with here. Elizabeth is knocking down some big baskets here. Christensen has 3 3-pointers. He has 9 of the 12. Fort Morgan now gets the ball back in court. Zach Garcia, they still haven't crossed half court yet. Now to Garcia, or to Lopez, excuse me. Now to Sweatzik. Sweatzik underneath to Weimer, who has checked in. Weimer to Tony Sweatzik at the top of the 3, and that is good for Sweatzik. Right at the top of the circle at the 3-point line. So 12-7. They're going to call a turnover on Elizabeth. Called a carry. They called that on Gavitt. So 12-7 with 1:58 to go in the first period. Fort Morgan gets the ball across half court. Leo Lopez underneath to Weimer. Weimer now to Joy Snyder. Snyder to Garcia for a 3 from the corner, and that's good. So Garcia with a 3. So 12-10. Elizabeth. Fort Morgan making a comeback here with 1:38 to go in the first period. Now another 3 by Christensen is no good. Fort Morgan with the rebound. Leo Lopez hustles the ball down court. Now to Garcia. To Joey Snyder. Now to Leo Lopez, and he drains the 3. So now Fort Morgan with the lead, 13-12, with 1:15 to go in the first period. So Elizabeth loses the ball out of bounds, and that will be a turnover for Elizabeth. So Mustang basketball, 13-12 with Mustangs lead. With 1:13 to go in the first period. Fort Morgan making a comeback with Zach Garcia, Leo Lopez, Tony Sweatzik, Joy Snyder, and Henry Weimer, the 5 that are in the game right now for the Mustangs. Elizabeth still with their 3-quarter court pressure. Now Tony Sweatzik with a pass over to the far side, interrupted for a second, but then taken by Leo Lopez. His 3 is no good. Now Elizabeth hustles the ball down court. And number 22, Severinsen. See if they call that on the... They're going to give him 2 shots. Foul was on number 20, Garcia. So to the line is Severinsen. To shoot 2. He missed the first shot. Second shot is also no good, so still 13-12 with 50 seconds to go. Ball rebounded by Fort Morgan, then tipped out by Elizabeth, so the ball goes over to Fort Morgan. Wes Anderson back into the game for Henry Weimer. Now Kimball down the left side. Joey Snyder with a nice little shot, but no good. Rebounded by Elizabeth. Elizabeth, a fast running team here. Now Trevor Boss has it. Now back out to Severinsen. Severinsen to Boss, and his 3 is off the back of the rim and no good. Rebounded by Garcia with 18 seconds to go. Long lead pass down to Anderson. And with 14.8 seconds to go, Anderson is fouled under the basket. It'll be a foul on Severinsen. And that's the first foul on Elizabeth. Ball in, but it's controlled by Fort Morgan. Now Kimball with a long 3, and that gets nothing but air. Fort Morgan does get the rebound, though. In underneath to Anderson, but he is fouled. I believe that foul is going to be on 33, Aaron Stone. So that's team foul number 2. So Fort Morgan inbounds just to the left of their basket. Kimball with a 3 from the corner, and that is good for Kimball. And that's the end of the first period. Fort Morgan on a great comeback, leading 16-12 over Elizabeth. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com. Back at Fort Morgan High School with the start of the second period. Fort Morgan up 16-12 with a 3 from the corner by Elizabeth. No good. Eric Kimball with the rebound. Ball up to Jake Frick. Jake Frick's wild layup is no good. Rebounded to Elizabeth, and then Jake Frick makes a foul. So have a substitution here now for Fort Morgan. Joey Schneider in for Jake Frick. So that's the second on Frick. 2 team fouls on Elizabeth. They're showing 5 on Fort Morgan. I'm missing a free throw here, or a foul someplace. But Elizabeth now with the ball. Now they've called a walk on Elizabeth. A turnover by Trevin Ross. Now Fort Morgan gets the ball in. Elizabeth backing off their 3-quarter pressure. Now to Tony Swetzik. He drives just to the top of the 3-point circle. His 3 is no good. Rebounded to Gavitt, and then stolen back by Fort Morgan. Zach Garcia with it now to Swetzik. Swetzik holding it out high. Now a nice pass off to Kimball. Kimball to Joey Schneider at the top of the key. Now they're going to call 3 seconds on Fort Morgan. So another turnover by the Mustangs. Up 16-12 with 6:59 to go in the second period. So we have Joey Schneider, Leo Lopez, Wes Anderson, Tony Swetzik, and Eric Kimball into the game for the Mustangs. Now Elizabeth with the ball. Trevin Ross drives to the basket, and that is good for Ross for a 2. Now Fort Morgan, Wes Anderson bringing the ball across half court. Hands off to Lopez. Lopez reverses, now down the lane, then passes it off to Anderson for his little shot, and it's off the rim and no good, and tipped out of bounds by Joey Schneider. So the ball will go over to the Elizabeth Cardinals with 6:29 to go in the second period. 16-14 Fort Morgan. So Elizabeth now with the ball in the front court. Underneath, and ball taken away by Anderson. Nice steal there. Pass down court to Tony Swetzik. Swetzik now has the ball knocked away out of his hands by Ross. So Fort Morgan will retain possession. 6:13 to go in the period. Tony Swetzik gets it into Joey Schneider. Schneider back under to. The ball is taken away. Now Elizabeth in the front court. Ball underneath now to Gavitt. Gavitt's shot up and good. So that's Gavitt's first basket of the game. He's a 18-point per game player. So far they're holding him down to 3. So Fort Morgan with the ball in the front court now off to Wes Anderson. Back to Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez drives, then backs it back out. Wes Anderson drives. They're going to call a foul on Elizabeth. And that's going to go against 44, Jake Gavitt. So that's Gavitt's first. So now Fort Morgan tries to get the ball in, and it's knocked out of bounds, and Elizabeth will take over. Henry Weimer into the game for Wes Anderson. So game tied at 16 with 5:34 and counting in the second period. Elizabeth with the ball up court. Cody Steinke drives all the way in, blocked by Weimer. Eric Kimball now taking the ball down court. He drives, dishes off to Lopez. Lopez fakes. He gets it back underneath to Joey Schneider. Joey Schneider's shot up and no good off the rim. Gavitt with the rebound for Elizabeth. Now his pass down court to Boss. Boss back under Gavitt. Gavitt's shot is up and good. And they're going to call a foul on Henry Weimer. So that's Weimer's first. So Elizabeth now up 18-16 with 5:04 to go in the second period. Gavitt to the line to shoot one. And that shot is good. Now we have a substitution. Jake Frick back into the game for Henry Weimer. So 19-16, Elizabeth with a lead. Now Elizabeth is going to put on the full court press. Get it in and to Joy Snyder. Joy Snyder now off to Tony Swetzig. His pass is kicked out of bounds by, well, there's a kick, so it's going to go back. It's going to go to Fort Morgan will retain possession. So Warwick Kimball to inbounds in front of the Mustang bench. Mustangs get the ball in. Tony Swetzig. Swetzig to Lopez. Lopez's pass knocked around and then finally taken by Elizabeth. Elizabeth up court, Cody Steinke, and now Trevor Boss from the corner for a three. So Fort Morgan is going to call a timeout, down 22-16. So we'll have a couple of messages here from our sponsors. Valley View Villa, look to the team at Valley View for rehab, short-term or long-term care needs. Stop by 815 Fremont or call them today, 867-8261. B&B Appliance at 502 Ensign in Fort Morgan. They help you save water, energy, and the environment without sacrificing quality and performance. Change for the better with B&B Appliance. Platte Valley Hearing Center. You don't have to travel out of town to receive the best and most advanced hearing health care. Visit Platte Valley Hearing Center located at 409 East Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan. So Fort Morgan inbounds the ball. Get it into Leo Lopez. Lopez back to Kimball. Kimball now over to Lopez. Lopez to Kimball. They do get it across half court. Kimball pass underneath is stolen by Gavitt. Gavitt's pass to Boss. Boss's shot is up and no good, but he is going to be fouled by Leo Lopez. That's going to be Lopez's second. So Boss will go to the line to shoot two. Buildings by Design. Buildings by Design and Brush takes pride in their workmanship and quality of their relationships with clients. For a free bid, call Pat Walter at 842-5837. Building today's business, Buildings by Design. First free throw is good by Boss. Second one for Boss. Up and also good. So 23-17, Elizabeth. Fort Morgan with the ball inbounds. Joy Snyder now with the ball to Leo Lopez. Lopez to Zach Garcia. Garcia all the way in. He goes in for the layup, but he is fouled by Gavitt. So that will be two on Gavitt. So Zach Garcia to the line to shoot two. Mustangs down 24-17 with 4:16 to go in the second period. Lining up here for the two, Zach Garcia at the line. His first shot up and good. So Elizabeth making a couple of substitutions now.
Elizabeth is starting to do that full court press on the inbound pass, which is, I think, kind of starting to get to the Mustangs a little bit, but they seem to be breaking it down pretty good.
They seem to get it down. They're breaking it now better than they were at the start. Zach Garcia with free throw number two is good, so 24-18. Elizabeth now in the front court. Drives down. Now Boss off to the corner on a three, but his shot is no good. But on the rebound, they're going to call a foul on number 33, Stone of Elizabeth. So Fort Morgan ball with 4 minutes to go in the second period, down 24-18. Fort Morgan getting the ball up court quickly now. Leo Lopez off to the corner. Zach Garcia now for a three from the corner, and that is good for Garcia. So Garcia now with 8 points on the night, 2 threes and a couple of free throws. So 24-21, Fort Morgan behind by 3. Elizabeth now with the ball. Cody Steinke off to Shane Wilson. Wilson now off to Boss. Boss now back to Cody Steinke, and his layup is good. So that's the first basket for Steinke in the second period. Now Fort Morgan with the ball down court. Just do get it across half court. Leo Lopez to Kimball. Kimball now just inside the three for a two, and that one is good for Kimball. So that's 5 on the night so far for Kimball. 24-24. Fort Morgan back into this game now. Now a shot underneath by Aaron Stone, and that shot is up and good by Stone. And they're going to call a foul on Eric Kimball, 33. So that's Kimball's first, 8th team foul on Fort Morgan compared to 5 for the Elizabeth Cardinals. So now it will be Aaron Stone to the line to shoot 1. His shot up and good by Stone. So 29-23, just like that, down 6. Fort Morgan with the ball down court. They lose it. It's going to be off of Elizabeth. So Fort Morgan will retain possession. Henry Weimer to check into the game. Coming in for Wes Anderson. So Eric Kimball inbounds the ball down in front of the Cardinals bench. Kimball gets it into Zach Garcia. Garcia now over to Leah Lopez on the left wing. Now underneath to Joey Snyder. Snyder with a nice little hook, but it rims out. Rebounded to Elizabeth with 2:40 to go in the second period. 29-23 Elizabeth. Now they're going to call a foul on the drive. They're going to call it on Zach Garcia, I believe, is who that was on. No, they're going to give it to Eric Kimball, actually. So that's 2 on Kimball. Tony Swetzik to check in for Kimball. 29-23 Elizabeth. Have somebody tying their shoe there for Elizabeth. So Central Auto Parts. For the best prices and special offers on top quality car parts and accessories, visit Central Auto Parts at 1001 West Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan. Northern Colorado Title. You don't have to close on your house alone. Northern Colorado Title at 130 West Kiowa in Fort Morgan will provide you with a stress-free closing. So the first shot up and good for Steinke. So that gives him 5 on the night. 30-23 now, Elizabeth. Second free throw up and short off the front of the rim. Henry Weimer with the rebound. Now down court to Tony Swetzik. Swetzik up for a layup, and his shot is fouled. Now they're going to call Swetzik for the travel after he rebounds his own shot. So for Elizabeth, Trevor Boss back into the game. Elizabeth is up 30-23 with 2:22 to go in the second period. Pass off now to Boss. Boss for a 2, and that is good. So Boss with 7 points, all coming here in the second quarter. Fort Morgan now trying to get the ball past half court. Elizabeth with their three-quarter court pressure, they do get across half court. Now Zach Garcia off to Swetzik. Swetzik to Joey Snyder. Snyder's shot off the rim and no good. A rebound to Henry Weimer, but he loses it back over to Elizabeth. 32-23 Elizabeth with 1:45 to go in the second period. Pass over to Boss in the corner. Boss now throws a wild pass across court and out of bounds. So that'll be a turnover for them, for Elizabeth. So with 1:39 to go in the second period, Fort Morgan behind 32-23 to inbounds on the far corner. So they get it into Zach Garcia. Zach Garcia gets it across court to Tony Swetzik. Swetzik to Joey Snyder. Snyder for a 3, and that is no good. And then Zach Garcia tries for the rebound, but he knocks it out of bounds. So with 1:28 to go in the second period, 32-23 Elizabeth. So Brandon Severinson with the ball, guarded by Garcia. Now pass off to Boss. Boss underneath but it's taken away by Henry Weimer. Henry Weimer, now it's back to Joey Snyder. Joey Snyder now off to Garcia in the left corner, and his three is up and no good off the rim. But Zach Garcia gets his own rebound, and his shot is blocked and goes out of bounds, and it will stay with the Mustangs. Wes Anderson back into the game for Joey Snyder. So with 59.9 seconds to go in the first half, Elizabeth 32, Fort Morgan 23. Ball in now to Fort Morgan. Zach Garcia for a three, and that is up and good. So that is 3 threes for Garcia tonight. 32-26 with 45 seconds to go in the second period. Now Cody Steinke drives to the basket, but he is going to be fouled and go to the line. And that foul is going to go against Garcia. I believe that's only two on Garcia. First shot is up and good for Steinke. 33-26. Second shot up and also good for Steinke. So Fort Morgan to get the ball in. Full court press by the Cardinals. Tony Swetzig across half court, taking it all the way to the basket. His shot is blocked on the drive. No foul called. 35 seconds to go in the first half. Now they're going to call Fort Morgan with a foul. They're going to call it on Tony Swetzig. So I have Swetzig down for his first foul. So it'll be a 1-and-1 for Steinke again to the line. Well, actually it's a 2 because they're over the limit, so that first one is good. So now Matthew Hoffman into the game for Tony Swetzig. Swetzig, take a seat. Coach Unrein having a little chat with him. Tony has been talking to the ref, and I think he wants to cool him off a little bit. So second shot is also good by Steinke. 36-26, a 10-point lead now with 30.7 seconds to go in the first half. Fort Morgan inbounds on the far side after the ball was knocked out. Ball into Leo Lopez. Lopez to Garcia. Garcia, his pass to the center is stolen. Now taken by Trevor Ross, and his shot up and no good. Rebounded by Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez with 15 seconds to go in the first half. Now Lopez, and the ball is knocked out of bounds by Elizabeth. So Fort Morgan will inbound with 11.4 seconds to go in the first half. 36-26. Elizabeth with the lead. Now Matthew Hoffman too inbounds the ball just to the left of the Morgan basket. He gets it into Leo Lopez. Lopez now to Garcia. Garcia to Weimer. Weimer back out to Anderson. Anderson for a three off the back of the rim and no good. Rebounded by Ross for Elizabeth, and a shot from half court is no good. So at the end of the first half, Elizabeth 36, Fort Morgan 26. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com. Back at Fort Morgan High School, along with Bob Richardson, I am Brian Nickel. Halftime here, 36-26, Elizabeth with the lead. A reminder for the listening audience out there that the game that was postponed last week with the Weld Central Rebels will be played this Thursday, January 24th. That game is at Weld Central High School. The boys will play at 5:30 and the girls will play at 7. And both those games can be heard right here on B106 and B106.com. So Fort Morgan finding themselves down 10 points at the start of the third period. Need to tighten down on the defense a little bit, start hitting some of their shots, and quit sending Elizabeth to the free throw line quite so much.
Elizabeth started out with a three-quarter court press, and then they went to a full court press, and I think the Mustangs handled that pretty good. It probably pushed them up court faster than they wanted to be, but they seem to be handling that full court press. We'll see if Elizabeth comes back with the full court to try to keep them down.
Yeah, Tony Swetzik seems to do a pretty good job of getting that ball across half court. Then they kind of lose it once they get down and try to set up their half court offense. They get kind of flustered with it. So it will be Fort Morgan ball to start the game. So starters for the Mustangs in the second half will be Tony Swetzik, Leo Lopez, Eric Kimball, Jake Frick, and Wes Anderson, the same five that started the first of the game. Now Fort Morgan looking to get the ball in, do get into the back court to Leo Lopez. So Leo Lopez crosses half court. Now to Eric Kimball out on left wing. Jake Frick at the top of the key. Now off to Leo Lopez over on the right wing. Back to Swetzik to Kimball. Kimball drives down the lane. Now he dishes off to Anderson. Anderson up, and his shot is no good, but he gets his own rebound. That shot is up and no good. Rebounded by Elizabeth. Ross with the ball. Now off to Cody Steinke. Steinke down the right side. He drives into the basket, and his layup is up and good. And they're going to call another foul on Fort Morgan. And that's going to go on Eric Kimball. That's 3 on Kimball. So Steinke to the line to shoot 2, up 38-26. First shot is up and good for Steinke. One thing about the Elizabeth Cardinals, they're a very good free throw shooting team.
He made the basket, so it was just a one shot.
Correct. Yep.
After foul. So
now Fort Morgan up court. They're going to call a foul on Elizabeth, and that's going to go against Boss, and that's Boss's first foul. So a team foul apiece now for each team. Now Kimball back out to Swetzik. Swetzik into Anderson. Anderson's little hook up and no good. Rebounded to Ross. Ross now over to Steinke. Steinke down court now to Gavitt. Gavitt with a 3 from the left corner. So now they're up 42-26, starting to get away from him. Now after Fort Morgan gets the ball in, they're going to call Elizabeth with a foul, and that's going to go against Ross. And that's Ross's first foul of the game. Now Morgan with the ball back in court. Up to Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez gets across half court. He tries to drive to the basket, brings it up. Now pass underneath to Jake Frick. Nice give and go there, Jake Frick. His first basket of the third period. 42-28, Elizabeth. Now Gavitt on the shot. Excuse me, that's Cody Steinke with a shot, but they're going to call Eric Kimball, I believe, and that is already 4 on Kimball. Just what we said at halftime couldn't happen, and it's already happened. So Steinke will go to the line to shoot 2. His first shot is up and good. So Eric Kimball will be on the bench for a while now with 4 fouls.
yeah, it was kind of a ticky-tack foul there that they called him on.
So Steinke with shot number 2, and that is also good. So 5 quick points in the second half for Steinke. Up Elizabeth up 44-28. Fort Morgan with the ball down court and lost out of bounds by Jake Frick from a pass from Leo Lopez. So Elizabeth now with the ball getting up past half court. Zach Garcia into the game for Kimball. Now they're going to call Zach Garcia for a foul. That's going to be 3 on Garcia. Third team foul on the Mustangs. 2 for Elizabeth. Ball in now to Gavitt. Now off to Boss. Boss's shot is up and good for his first basket of the third period. Now the ball is stolen by Elizabeth. Elizabeth to drive it underneath the basket. Now back out to Cody Steinke. Steinke all the way. Nobody cut him off. So another 2-pointer for Steinke. 48-28, 20-point lead for Elizabeth. So now Fort Morgan in the front court. Leo Lopez to the free throw line. Now underneath the Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson's shot is up and no good. Now rebounded to Elizabeth. Elizabeth hustling up court. His pass is going to be intercepted by Zach Garcia. Nice steal there. Now off to Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez driving to the center of the lane, and now his pass underneath the Frick is stolen. Now Boss with it. Now they're going to call a foul underneath.
I believe it's going to be on Frick.
Yep. That'll be his third. Fourth on Fort Morgan, 2 on Elizabeth. So now Wes Anderson out, Jake Frick out, Tony Swetzik out. So Henry Weimer back in. Joey Schneider in, and a three-pointer from the corner for Christensen. He's back at it again. So 51-28. Elizabeth in the lead with 4:52 to go in the third period. Eric Kimball back into the game. So Eric Kimball drives, and his little shot from the drive down the lane is no good. Knocked out of bounds by Elizabeth. So Fort Morgan will retain the ball.
The Mustangs are doing a pretty good job of holding Gavitt down, but Christian came alive against him, so he's somebody put a body on him.
Yep. So now Kimball, his drive into the lane, shot up and no good, but he is fouled on the play. And I believe that foul is going to go against number 14, Ross. So Eric Kimball to the line for 2. Kimball so far on the night with 5 points. That shot is going to be short off the front of the rim. So Joey Schneider and Henry Weimer are into the game, along with Zach Garcia, Leo Lopez, and Eric Kimball. Kimball's second shot up, and it's going to be, catches the front of the rim and in. So that's Kimball's first point of the third period. So now Fort Morgan do put a little pressure on here, but Elizabeth blows right by that and scores under the basket for Boss. So 53-29, Elizabeth. Fort Morgan with the ball up court. Leo Lopez to the free throw line. Now he gets it off to Joey Schneider. Schneider back to Lopez. Lopez drives it. Now the ball is knocked out of bounds by Elizabeth. Now James Christensen out of the game. And Brandon Severinson, I believe, has come in for the Elizabeth Cardinals. Now Fort Morgan gets the ball into Kimball. Kimball with a nice little jumper from the left side, up and good. So now Fort Morgan with full court pressure. Kicked by Zach Garcia, so that'll be ball out on the side to Elizabeth. 4 minutes to go, 53-31 Elizabeth in the third period. Now Elizabeth across half court. Ross dribbles around to the left side. Now he takes it down to the basket. His layup is up and good. For Ross, that is his first points of the night. So 55-31 Elizabeth. Fort Morgan now in the front court. Eric Kimball out high, now off to Zach Garcia. Zach Garcia down the left sideline, back out to Kimball. Kimball to the point. Now Leo Lopez for a three, and it's no good. Gavitt with the rebound, and he's down court. His pass now out to Steinke. Steinke all the way to the rim for 2, 57-31 Elizabeth. So Fort Morgan now in the front court. Timeout now taken by the Mustangs. It's a full timeout, so we'll take one with them. 3 minutes and 1 second to go in the third period, 57-31 Elizabeth. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com. Back at Fort Morgan High School, where the Mustangs find themselves down 57-31 with 3 minutes and 1 second to go in the third period. Steinke for Elizabeth has come alive here in the third period with 9 points. He has 18 on the night, and he averages 12.4 a game, so he's well above his average already. holding Gavitt down, but not taking care of Christensen. So Fort Morgan now with the ball inbounds. Now Zach Garcia underneath. Henry Weimer up with a shot and no good. Rebound to Elizabeth. So Elizabeth up court quickly. Brandon Severinsen back out to Steinke. Steinke guarded by Lopez, and the ball underneath to Severinsen. His shot up and no good. Now the pass back out is stolen by Steinke. He drives it in for the two. So 59-31. Now they're having a wrestling match out on the court out there, and they call a jump ball. Possession arrow to Elizabeth. So Tony Swetzik into the game for Leo Lopez. Wes Anderson in for Henry Weimer, and Frick is coming in for Joyce Snyder.
That looked like a tag team match going on the floor. Ball just rolling around, everybody trying to dive for it there.
So Elizabeth now with the ball up 59-31 with 2:10 to go in the third period. Ball underneath now. Stolen away by the Mustangs. Tony Swetzik up court to Zach Garcia. Garcia down with the left layup from the left side, but it is no good. But he is going to be fouled by Cody Steinke. That is only his first of the game. 4 team fouls on Elizabeth, 4 on Fort Morgan. So Zach Garcia to the line to shoot 2. His first shot is no good. So Fort Morgan wants to try to get back into this game. They need to make every shot count. So Garcia at halftime had 11 points. His next shot is up and good. So 59-32 for Elizabeth. Now Severinsen off to the corner to Gavitt. Gavitt drains the 3. So now Kimball, his end of the court, his 3-point shot is up and no good. Rebounded to Gavitt. 62-32. 30-point lead all of a sudden for the Elizabeth Cardinals. Ball pass underneath, and it is taken by Garcia. Garcia now up court, across half court to Tony Swetzik. Swetzik to Anderson. Anderson back to Garcia. Garcia out at the point. His 3 no good. Eric Kimball with a rebound, and it is no good. Wes Anderson with a rebound. His shot up and no good. He is fouled on the play. I believe they called that on Aaron Stone. They called it on 23, Shane Wilson. And that is his first. So Anderson's first free throw is good. First points on the night for Anderson. Kimball to take a seat. Matthew Hoffman into the game for the Mustangs. 1:16 to go in the third period. 62-33 Elizabeth. Next free throw is up and no good for Anderson. So Fort Morgan defense has fallen asleep. Aaron Stone wide open under the basket for a 2.
They just called us for a travel on number 11.
Tony Swetzik. So Fort Morgan down by 31 with 1:03 to go in the third period. Ball now out to Severinsen out at the right wing. He drives it to the center, now to Trevin Ross from the corner for another 3. So Ross with 5 on the night. 67-33 Elizabeth with 46 seconds to go in the period. Matthew Hoffman's layup up and no good. Elizabeth now running with the ball. Now another, no, didn't take the 3. Trevin Ross, he drains a 3 from the left wing. So Elizabeth running away with this game now, 70-33 with 23 seconds to go in the third period.
Elizabeth starting to find their groove now.
So Zach Garcia, his pass underneath is stolen, taken now by Trevin Ross. Ross to Gavitt. Gavitt's shot is up and no good, but rebounded to Elizabeth. And on the putback, by Aaron Stone. He is fouled with 7.8 seconds to go. So Stone will go to the line to shoot 2. And that foul was on Tony Swetzik. First shot is no good. So that's 2 on Swetzik for the night. The only one, Kimball has 4, Frick has 3, Garcia with 3. Jake Frick out of the game. Garrett Reagan into the game now for the Mustangs. Second shot for Stone is good. So Fort Morgan up court with 1 second to go. Gets the shot off, and if it goes, it's good. But it hits off the back of the rim. So at the end of the third period, 71-33 Elizabeth. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com. Back at Fort Morgan High School with Bob Richardson, I'm Brian Nickel. Fort Morgan finds themselves down 38 points, 71-33 to start the fourth period. Outscored in that third period, 35-7. Steinke led the way with 11 points in that period. He had 9 at the half. So Fort Morgan now with the ball in the front court. Garcia back out to Leo Lopez. Lopez off to Kimball on the right corner. Now Kimball drives. His little banker up and good for Kimball. So that's the first basket of the period.
Gavitt just scored 2 for basket was good.
So now Fort Morgan throws it away down on the right corner. Taken by Elizabeth. Elizabeth out now at the top with Brandon Severinson. Now Gavitt for a 3, and it's off the front of the rim and no good. Fort Morgan trying to get the rebound and ends up knocking it out of bounds. So now Logan Weber into the game for Elizabeth, replacing Shane Wilson. Replacing Severinson. So now Elizabeth with the ball. Drive into the basket was good by Shane Wilson. So 75-35 for Elizabeth with 6:58 to go in the game. Wes Anderson now along the baseline. Out to Garcia for a 3. And Garcia's shot is up and good. So Garcia's having an excellent night. Having an excellent game tonight. 75-38. Now another 3-point by Elizabeth is no good. And it goes out of bounds. The ball will be turned over to the Mustangs. Now Joey Snyder in for Garrett Reagan. And now Elizabeth is starting to put in some JV players that I have no idea who they are. So Fort Morgan into the front court down 75-38. Kimball pass underneath Joey Snyder. Snyder's shot is up and no good. Zach Garcia, his shot up and no good on the rebound. Now tipped away by Fort Morgan. Joey Snyder picks up his dribble. Now Garcia with a 3, and that is good. 6 points in the period for Garcia. Elizabeth now with the ball up court. Ball underneath to Weber. Ball bounced out of bounds, so turnover to the Mustangs. Eric Kimball to inbounds the ball to Leo Lopez. Mustangs down 75-41. Lopez across half court. Now a nice little screen by Joey Snyder. Pass now to Snyder underneath. Snyder back out to Leo Lopez. Lopez's little runner is up and good. I thought it was headed out there, but it took a turn and went back in. So 75-43 Elizabeth with 5:34 to go in the game. Now a 3 from the corner, no good by Elizabeth. Shot up by Weber, no good. They're going to call a foul
on Weber.
Is that on Weber? Okay.
Yes, that was on Weber.
So that's his first. So Fort Morgan to inbounds the ball. Wes Anderson gets it into Leo Lopez. Lopez across half court to Kimball. Kimball now out of the right wing. This pass underneath to Anderson. Now back to Kimball. Kimball's shot is up and good. So Elizabeth now quickly with the ball down court. Now Elizabeth drives to the basket. Shot up and no good. Joy Snyder with the rebound. Leo Lopez now hustling down court. Gets past half court. Drives it down to the free throw line. Passes it out to Garcia. Garcia's shot is no good. They called no shot. They're going to call a foul. They're going to call a foul on 33, which is Stone.
That's his third.
So 75-45, 4:51 to go in the game. Timeout has been called, so we'll take one with him. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com. Back at Fort Morgan High School, where the Mustangs find themselves down 75-45 with 4:51 to go in the game. They really got away from them in the third period, it being outscored 35-7. So Fort Morgan just now trying to get a little experience here as the game goes on. We also found out that the Fort Morgan Knowledge Bowl team beat the Elizabeth Knowledge Bowl team here today, so congratulations to them. So now Leo Lopez to the free throw line. His first shot is up and good. So that's 8 points on the night for Lopez. His second free throw up and also good. So that makes it 75-47 with 4:50 to go in the fourth period. So now Elizabeth called for the carry. It's number 15. I don't have a number for him. So Fort Morgan with the ball. Leo Lopez across half court. Now Anderson to set a screen out high. Leo Lopez off to Zach Garcia. Garcia's three. Garcia can't miss this afternoon. That's 9 in the period for him. Now Elizabeth down court.
That was 6 3-pointers for him tonight so far.
So Trevin Ross with the ball on the right side. His pass is tipped, taken by Fort Morgan. Fort Morgan's pass out, up, and intercepted. The pass, the bucket is finally good. I believe that was Weber. I'm not sure if that was.
Number 33 was Stone.
33 Stone with the basket underneath. Yeah. Fort Morgan now down court, and they missed their shot. So now Kimball is going to be called for a trip on that's going to be a foul. So that is going to be Kimball's fifth. He will be out. So Jake Frick and Joey Snyder into the game. Let's see what Joey Snyder's coming back out.
Looks like Elizabeth's checking in all their JV players that they held over from the game earlier.
So Coach Unrein taking his time here to put somebody into the game. Let's see who he puts in. So I'm not sure just who some of these players are because I don't have
we don't have the JV.
I don't have a JV list here. So hopefully they won't score the rest of the way. We won't have to worry about writing them down here. So Jake Frick, Zach Garcia, Leo Lopez, Tony Swetzik, and Wes Anderson are the 5 on the floor for the Mustangs. So now ball pass underneath is stolen by Zach Garcia. Garcia brings the ball past half court. Pass off to Tony Swetzik. Swetzik to Anderson in the corner. Now back to Swetzik. Garcia to Lopez. Lopez's three is off the rim and no good. Shot by Frick on the rebound is no good. But Frick is going to go to the line. Foul was on number 4.
Terry?
I believe so. So Frick's first basket, first free throw is good. 77-51, Elizabeth with 3:29 to go in the game. Frick's second shot off the side of the rim and no good. So now Elizabeth gets the ball across half court. And they drive it down the lane, pass it back out to the corner to Terry. Now underneath, but fouled on the drive by Frick. So that'll be Frick's fourth. So number 10 will go to the line for Elizabeth. Matthew Hoffman, Tola Walio, and Garrett Reagan set to check in for the Mustangs. So number 10, his shot is up and no good. Thompson, I guess, would be number 10. So Anderson, Sweatzik, and Garcia, or Lopez out of the game for the Mustangs with 3:15 to go in the game. Second free throw is up and good for Thompson. So that's his first point of the night. Now Fort Morgan gets the ball down court and it's knocked out of bounds by Weber of Elizabeth. So now Fort Morgan to inbounds the ball. Tola Walio gets it in to Matthew Hoffman. Hoffman over to Garcia. Way out high on the right wing. Now dribbles back out to the center circle. Pass off to Tola Walio. Back to Garcia. Garcia to Hoffman. They're playing about 6 feet outside the three-point circle. Now Hoffman into the lane. Hoffman underneath the Frick. His shot is up and no good. Rebounded to Elizabeth. So Terry with the ball down court. Terry with it down the lane, and his little layup is going to be blocked by Frick. So Tola Walio with the ball across half court, 78-51 with 2:28 to go in the game. Now Garrett Reagan with a little jumper from the right. His first points of the night for the Mustangs, 78-53. Now Thompson, now underneath to Weber. Weber's shot is up and no good. They're going to call a foul on the shot, and if that's on Frick, that's going to be it for him. Refs are discussing it now, who they want to call it on.
Frick's coming over to the bench, so it looks like he's shaking his head no. So
that will be 5 on Frick. So on the night, Frick had 5 points. So Weber to the line to shoot. To shoot 2, yes. His first shot is off the back of the rim and no good. So shot number 2 coming up here for Weber. His shot is also off to the side of the rim and no good. It's rebounded to Fort Morgan, 78-53 with 2:05 to go in the game. Garcia now off to Hoffman. Hoffman to Walio. Walio, his pass gets by Hoffman into the back court, and Thompson gets it for Elizabeth. And now Terry takes it in for the layup. So that's 2 points on the night for Terry. Now Fort Morgan throws the ball away. Hoffman to Walio, not even close on the pass. So 80-53 with 1:36 to go in the game. Elizabeth now with the ball up court. Thompson now off in the corner. Now back to Weber in the center. His shot is in and out. And now shot up and no good on the rebound by Elizabeth. With 1:19, the ball will go back to Fort Morgan. So Leo Lopez into the game for Tola Walio. 80-53. Elizabeth. Matthew Hoffman inbounds the ball. Leo Lopez letting it bounce before he touches it, get up court as far as he can. He's past half court. So Elizabeth, nice screen by Weimer. Now off to Hoffman out on the corner, and his ball is taken away temporarily, but he regains control. Now to Garcia. Now they're going to call a foul on number 4 for Elizabeth. That'll be Terry. That'll be 2 on him. So 1:05 to go in the game, 80-53.
That was a good hustle for the Mustangs to get that ball. It was laying on the ground. It looked like it was going to be a tie-up, and they got it out and got Terry to get the foul.
So Lopez misses the front end of the 1-and-1. So Elizabeth now with a minute to go brings the ball up court. Younger players in there now for Elizabeth. Now they're going to call a foul on Fort Morgan. They're going to call it on Garrett Reagan. So that'll be Reagan's first foul of the night. So number 24, which I do not have, is going to the line for Elizabeth.
It's Stuart Urick.
Okay. His first shot is good. So he has 1 point on the night. Free throw. So Weimer with the rebound, and now a foul on Elizabeth is going to go against Weber. I believe that's Weber's first foul with 50.1 seconds to go in the game. 81-53. Elizabeth with the lead. So Henry Weimer, you have a technical foul called on
the bench.
The bench of the Elizabeth Cardinals. I'm not sure why they would be upset at this point of the game.
81-53. You wouldn't think they'd be too upset right now, but obviously something he didn't like. And he expressed his opinion, and it didn't go too well with the men's in the stripes.
So Henry Weimer will shoot he'll shoot 2 because that is the 10th team foul on Elizabeth. His first shot is no good. So Weimer with his second shot, that was in and out, so that shot also no good. So now they will shoot the technical, and that will be Zach Garcia that will go to the line. So Garcia, his first free throw is good. 81-54. Zach Garcia, his second shot is too strong off the back of the rim.
Mustangs get the ball back on the side.
So Hoffman inbound on the far side. Elizabeth keeping the pressure on. So Leo Lopez with the ball in the back court. Now across half court to Zach Garcia. Garcia launches a 3 and it doesn't hit the rim. But Joey Snyder gets the rebound underneath and puts it in. So that's Snyder's first points of the game. 81-56 with 30 seconds to go in the game. Now, shot from the corner by Elizabeth is no good. Matthew Hoffman up court to Leo Lopez. Leo Lopez dribbles around at the top of the key. Off now to Zach Garcia with 15 seconds to go in the game. Now Matthew Hoffman underneath to Weimer. Weimer out to Garcia. Garcia for a 3. In and out. Rebounded to Elizabeth with 8 seconds to go. Now Terry with the ball. Now out to Weber. He holds it out for the final seconds of the game. So at the end of the game, 81-56. Elizabeth over Fort Morgan. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com. This Mustang postgame show is brought to you by High Plains Bank and Wiggins. The friendly staff at High Plains Bank and Wiggins is ready to assist you with a home loan, equity line of credit, commercial loan, or checking account. To receive hometown service on a higher plane, visit High Plains Bank today. Back here at the Fort Morgan High School, where the Elizabeth Cardinals boys have defeated the Fort Morgan Mustangs 81-56. At halftime, it was actually quite close. It was 36-26 Elizabeth, but Elizabeth outscored Fort Morgan 35-7 in that third period. But Fort Morgan did come back and outscore them 23-9, 23-8 in the third period. So leading scorers for the Elizabeth Cardinals was Steinke with 20, Christensen with 12, Gavitt with 14, held him under his average of 18, but Steinke, I'm sure, was way over his average at 20. Ross with 8, Voss with 11, Terry with 2, Severinsen with 2, Wilson with 2, and Thompson with 1 for their 81 points. And then for Fort Morgan, leading scorer was Zach Garcia with 22, an excellent night for him. And then next in line was Eric Kimball with 12, Leo Lopez with 9, Jake Frick with 3, Joey Schneider with 2, Garrett Reagan with 2, and Wes Anderson with 1, Tony Swetzik with 3 for their 56. So outscored severely in the third period. The Mustangs could never recover. Bob has some turnover numbers and rebounds for us here.
Yeah, the total for the Mustangs and the turnovers were 22 to Elizabeth 16. That was a lot of those came in the first half, and then the rebounds. We did good on the boards, 25 to Elizabeth 16. We held to Elizabeth to 1 rebound in the fourth period, which was pretty good.
So next up on the agenda tonight will be the Fort Morgan girls against the Elizabeth Lady Cardinals. So we'll take a 3-minute break here and be back at the high school. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs basketball on B106 and B106.com.